Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome on behalf of APAC News Network at another edition of APAC Dialogue. Today we have with us Mr. Abhishek Bagchi, is the heading the MIT World uh, Schools, and we will be talking in general about one uh, regarding his school, the how technology has influenced the academic curriculum and the education roadmap in the school. And in the second part of the discussion, we'd like to talk about the general impact of technology on education, especially in a post-pandemic kind of world. So the best way to
Right.
start would be, Abhishek, if you can take us through what are the technology infrastructure prevalent in your school right now, and what are their principal functions, especially we know currently it's more a blended kind of learning environment that is prevalent. So what are the technologies you have implemented, and what are the roles of those technologies?
Okay. Good afternoon, Rajneesh ji. Good afternoon, all the viewers at present. This is a very relevant topic that you have taken up, Rajneesh ji, and it's like hats off to your organization who are doing some amazing work in the field of education and other areas. Your question is like what technological infrastructure that my school is providing. At the same time, you ask me like how this blended learning is it's getting taking place. Right. So it was one of the toughest period that we have already seen in education domain. 2 years the students studied from online basis, and I'm absolutely sure all my eminent principals and directors and educationists will agree with me that in high time in big way. So, having said that, like now the things are getting normal. I would say normal, much normal than what happened before. The students have started coming to school, but at the same time, we have seen that there are some students who are still in some areas of India and even abroad. They are still learning online. So obviously, the blended learning is still prevalent, and it will be the future in my perspective, in my opinion. So, what MIT is doing now, let me tell you about MIT. This is one of the biggest organizations in India and especially in Maharashtra. They have got more than 110 institutes all over, spread all over India, and with 4 universities and more than 45 schools. So, I am heading World Peace School chain. I'm the director of 3 schools and principal of the school in Pune. So, this has a legacy of more than 40 years. This organization has done amazing work in the field of education, have recruited so many educators all over India, and more than 2 lakh students directly or indirectly involved in the whole process. So my school, World Peace School, is just 4 years old, and they are already doing amazing job. How? Like this particular school has got some dedicated services for the students. They have the infrastructure, the right infrastructure required to actually conduct a proper blended learning classroom. For example, what do you require in a blended learning classroom? Other than the capacity of the teachers, which we have seen amazing teachers have worked, I would say hats off to the teachers of all the teachers all over the world and all over India. They have really transformed themselves from a general lecture based method, sophisticated blended learning method where they prepare the lessons online. They kept some lessons where they can even check in offline mode. So this asynchronous and synchronous teaching that took place was really amazing. And me coming from a pure IT background, I really felt amazed by the capacity that the teachers showed in such a short time, transforming themselves. So that is in one part of the story. But we have much of resources to the teachers, right? So what are the basic resources that we need to provide? One, most importantly, we often neglect that. we should have a proper communication channel established between the school and the parents. That was essential, and we are keeping that right. How we are doing it? Like this is one of my suggestion to all the viewers who are listening to me, all the principals, teachers, everyone. The first thing that you need to do in a kind of blended approach is keep a good communication channel between you and all the stakeholders, especially to the parents. The parents and the students must and always must have a channel to reach you at any point of time. Yes, I can understand you won't be able to pick up the call maybe at night, maybe 10 o'clock, but you can actually, there must be a platform where they can send you a message. Ideally, through a learning management system, through a virtual learning environment. If that is not possible, if you do not have a specific LMS for your school, then at least some method, maybe an WhatsApp, where the message can reach you so that you can actually get back to that message. It can be a very serious thing. I'll give an example. One of my students in my school, uh, they were suffering from an anxiety disorder maybe at the middle of the night. What happened? The parents were also have no clue what to do with that, because these students, they are stuck inside the four walls for the last 2 years, and even today in some of the areas they are the same thing. So their psychological, the social and emotional learning becomes an extremely important part of our curriculum at present. So the teacher got the message maybe at 10:30 at night, and the teacher got back. How they just she just recorded a video because she was not in a position to call and talk to the parents and the students at that moment. She just recorded a very small 30 seconds video, of the students speaking to the students and telling him that okay, calm down. We're going to have a long talk tomorrow, and there is no point of panic. So that worked. So these kind of communication channel will be my first, I would say, suggestion to all the schools and all the stakeholders. So that create that communication channel. You don't require a massive technological change in your school to do that. Just give the coordinators or the class teachers one small handset and a SIM card. That's the first thing that you need to do. Second, try to get some kind of video learning facilities, maybe in the form of a laptop or maybe inside a school. That's what we are doing. Like inside the classroom, we are putting the LED TVs and the interactive boards through which the teacher can actually have an interactive classrooms. The schools where this is not possible, there are some brilliant alternatives you can come up with. I've seen teachers doing amazing innovations. They have got some writing pads which is not very expensive. It costs you around 2,000 2,500 rupees, and attach the writing pads with your mobile phone. Just get it done. So those writing pads, if you write on the pads, that there is that comes to your screen. That's kind of input devices that you have. So similarly, you can actually use your smartphone nowadays. Like most of you have a smartphone. You can cast your smartphone to the LED TV. Any kind of smart TV you can use it. You don't have to also. You don't require an Android TV to get that also. So that was my answer to your question, Rajneesh ji. That
So,
yes, we have the infrastructure. We are privileged enough to get the infrastructure in our school. This school has got a legacy, as I said, and we leave no stone unturned to make sure that our students get the best blended learning solution. At the same time, if there is any school who is not getting that privilege, so many innovative ways that they can do it. They can they can take a very simple device, that mobile phone, and turn them into an excellent learning devices. I've seen school who use radios to teach. So these kind of brilliant adaptive measures we can take. In my school, I have seen my teachers went to the homes. They went to their homes. They spoke to the children. My counselor, went with them, and they sat in their home, and then they solved the problems that they're facing. So these kind of communication will actually help enhance the learning mechanism and help the school to reach the outcome that they're looking for.
understand. Thanks. So, from this, I will take up two areas. One, lot of the learning in school, especially with the new kind of academic curricula, is done through experiential kind of learning. Now, in the scenario where it was largely 2 years, not largely wholly online learning, and even now blended learning, how do you ensure experiential learning is taught? And you mentioned about the teachers. How are the teachers themselves trained to impart the training, this experiential kind of learning and other learning in this current scenario?
Right. Fantastic questions. Like, thank you for asking this question because this is the basic philosophy of our education that we impart in our school. First of all, again, like we are privileged enough to get a fantastic campus here, like it's like 21-acre campus, green campus surrounded by hills in Pune. I will invite you, your whole team to come to my campus one day, and if any viewers who are watching it, I really invite you to come and be in my campus. So what we do here, like our students here, like this is summer, right? And they have started the school maybe in April. So as they started coming, the whole curriculum is designed. The teacher has designed the curriculum keeping the experiential learning in mind. Now, what is experiential learning? In experiential learning, to put it in a very small, simple terms, the experiential learning where your five senses are involved, like when you are learning something. So it's more sensory, and you experience it using your all five senses. That's your input organs which are working with. So the whole curriculum can be designed in this way, or rather, I would say this must be designed in this way. I'm really happy that you have framed this question because it is very much required at this present moment because the students were devoid of that kind of learning when they were sitting at home. It was mostly visual and auditory, where from the screen someone was talking and they were watching them there. So here I'll give some examples what we are doing in MIT, what we are doing in our World Peace School. As and when the student comes to a school, first of all they get into a yoga practice. So at least half an hour every day when they come, they get into the yoga, and then it's followed by some kind of assembly where they have the prayer. We have recently started a system where till the students come from the school, they get down from the bus and then the class starts, the assembly and yoga starts. There is some nice patriotic music and patriotic song that happens to our whole school campus. So they repeat those songs, they are into that environment already, right? And coming to the teaching learning, some fantastic pedagogies our teachers have already framing. The students are making, because when they were inside that house, they were trapped inside a concrete cage. So what they are doing, they are now into the mud. They are playing outside. What they are doing, they are making the hotel for the bugs. They are making seed bombs. They are creating a marketplace where they are making their own product and selling to their parents. So these are the part of the curriculum that already in the last 2 months where the students have started coming physically, already have started going through that process because that's the philosophy that we are following. In addition to that, in course of time, we have got some fantastic programs lined up. The students don't want to go to the vacation also because they are already was in vacation for a long time. So we have shortened the vacations into 15 days for the students that they also don't like to go to vacation at present moment. So we have got a lot of excursions planned in where they will go and have some exchange programs with other schools, with the other people, so that they learn their culture, they have a proper learner outcome coming out from those activities. In addition to that, we believe in holistic learning. So the students will create a maker space. That's the thing that all the schools are looking at the present moment. We call it STEAM education, but that's a maker space where students make stuff from the trash from the waste. They make stuff which they can be a junk jewelry. It can be something which they create out of the waste material from the electronic waste that is used, mostly the motherboard and all. And then they can create amazing stuff. And you know what, like, they are doing it. They are just getting a little bit of help from the teachers, some kind of hint or something, and they are experts in digital learning. They get ideas from online, and they start making it, and they love it. You give them a corner and leave the kids alone, right? And just watch it from the distance, and they will create magic. That's a suggestion that I want to give everyone. Exponential learning is all about letting the kids let the kid explore, let the kid go. And yes, what will happen, what the worst thing can happen, they will have a cut, they will have a cut in the hands. You keep those measures, you keep the measures in your school, have a talk with your parents, you just win over the parents first, okay, and talk to the parents, get their consent. I'm sure they're going to approve it, because like it's exploring, unrevealing the creativity potential that the students have. And not only that, you allow the students to get into the household work, the household chores that they do inside the school. What happens, the parents talk to the students and they don't listen to the parents, they listen to the teachers. So you tell the teachers, you get them into an activity of cleaning the classroom, you know. So that is a major social emotional learning. What we are doing in my school, I have given each and every student one sapling and told them that this is your sapling, this is your baby, and they are taking care of it. They have named the sapling according to their names. Okay, it's their avatar, and they are keeping the saplings, they are taking care of the saplings, and giving them a corner in the school, and they are creating that. That's a fun, and that's fun, and that's learning. They learn how to take care of the environment. They develop that kind of social emotional capacity, so that we create students who are fit for the life. We don't create students for jobs. That's not our role. Our role is to create students, create learners for the life, so that they get prepared for life. Yes, Rajnish.
Okay, so here again, I'll club two questions. One, you mentioned the emotional impact on the students, and again, that I would say within a school itself will vary between three age groups. The primary schools, their kids, it's necessary for them probably to do the entire schooling offline, because there the whole schooling is not only about education, as we mentioned, but more about peer interaction and things for their growth and development. That will perhaps be applicable even to a large extent for mid schools also. Maybe high schools can do some bit of online because they are more mature. Now, keeping in mind these three levels, how have you been managing in these times, these three levels of schools? And another important part is the assessment. The assessment had also gone virtual in the last couple of years. So again, how the faculties managed to change that the paradigm of the assessment pattern, if I may say, and how are the students adjusted to that?
Yeah. So the last part of your question, you're bang on point. That was the most challenging aspect, probably, of all the schools. It was challenging because the right definition of assessment needed to change. Uh, I may be sounding a little harsh, but maybe this pandemic has showed us that we need to rethink our assessment strategies. So they actually help us to rethink the assessment strategies. And coming to your first part of the question, like how we manage that online training for even for the pre-primary, which is the toughest actually, to let them sit in one place. So ultimately, Rajnishji, everything comes from the ownership. The once the students start taking the ownership of the learning, the rest follows. The students, the learners, they must understand. Okay, this is my role, and this is how I'm engaged. Like this is what I'm liking of the learning, and why I'm liking it. Why this particular knowledge and this particular skill getting developed is very very essential, and how that can happen. That can happen if the teachers present the whole lesson in such a way so that the student get what the benefit that they're going to get from the exam, from the lessons that they're getting, not only like sitting in the exam and getting some marks out of that exam, which actually happens in a traditional system. But you're talking about paradigm shift. I would say the whole education system at presently in India in a very nascent state. They're crawling. They're not even, got up and started walking, which is actually good because educators like you, me, and some other eminent educators who are really doing amazing jobs. They are taking up this opportunity and transforming the whole education system. Thanks to NEP, it's a brilliant idea to give this change at this particular right time. Thanks to the government again to support the NEP and really telling us to do what actually needed to be done maybe another 20 years back. So this is where the whole transformation is coming, where the whole idea of assessment, now coming to that second part of the point, the whole idea of assessment is to allow the student to take the ownership of the learning. This is actually where what happens that when you are studying, when you are learning, the assessment is happening automatically. So it's like assessment as learning or assessment for learning, not assessment of learning, which we have seen in the traditional system. Like when they sit and give the summative, I would like to say, the summative exams and there was subjective checking by the teachers. So that kind of assessment, we have understood way back that there is something seriously wrong into that system, and pandemic showed the mirror to us. Look at the mirror and then find out what is actually wrong. And then what we did, the schools like the World Peace School and MIT, and I am sure that some other school did it, they converted the whole assessment system into a kind of a system where students will express their own learning in their own terms, in their own words. So it's a whole democratization of the whole process where we have given option to the students, like you can send a video, you can write an essay, you can just go and do a role play and send it to us. You can, if you want, you can create a artwork out of your learning and show us that okay, I've done this. You can be a painting, a model out of what they have made. So the what is the main objective? The main objective is to showcase the learning that they have done. You know? And here comes your ability to assess that. And there comes the training, as you said, the capacity of the teachers needed to be developed. So it is not only the digital capacity that we are looking at, right? Blended learning is not only looking at the digital learning of the teachers. It is more than that. It is like as I started communication. You need to learn the communication, like how we are communicating. We are having a nice online interview here, like online conversation. So these communications, the ways of communications need to be learned. Number one. Number two, yes, there are some technical aspects that you need to learn, definitely. Number three, your presentation skill. What exactly you're going to present? Are you going to present the whole content over the screen with maybe three paragraphs, coming to the students and telling them to read it out? Or maybe the teacher is the worst case scenario. The teacher is reading out from the slides. So these are the things that needed to be taught to the teachers, and how to make it more engaging and interactive, how to tell the students to become teacher, and maybe in sometimes some schools have done it in a very intelligent way. They made the parents as co-teachers and the teachers become co-parents. So these are the ways that we can cross the hurdle and make the I would say desirable learning process, maybe pedagogy, and this is where you create an absolute interdisciplinary, or what I would dare to say, maybe a transdisciplinary medium where the teaching learning happens just because the learners are taking ownership of it and they are eager to learn, they are eager to communicate with the teachers, because now the teacher is not standing in a pedestal in the home of a teacher. You can see the house, right? Here, the teacher is taking a class maybe online. You can see that. So that's where the teacher has come down from the pedestal and come down to your level and talking your language. So this is where maybe I've seen in my school there are teachers who have taken the help from the students to teach them how to take online classes better. That's where you can actually do a proper assessment of your learning.
Okay. So I'll take again one part or one aspect of your answer for my next question. You mentioned in some cases the family of the students got involved. So my question is, for every school, will be one section of students, typically from socio-economic angle. The demographic is such that they will come from a weaker socio-economic position. So there one two aspects. One, uh, their family background of those students from those sections. Um, their parents might not be conversant with some of these concepts. That is one part of it. The second part of it is more in terms of the technology infrastructure. There is a cost involved also. So how does the school manage that so that ultimately when you talk about democratization, that ultimately the democratization of the availability of infrastructure is going to the students. So how do you tackle both these scenarios?
Yeah, serious question. I agree with you. This happened, and I cannot deny that. But definitely, there will be, and there are always students from positions where they are not getting the devices. We also face this issue. Sometimes there are siblings inside the home, so there's classes going on at the same time. So how they will be using the same device? Both the parents working, they have taken the devices for the in the workplace. Then how the student will do the classes? So all these are serious practical issues that we faced the last 2 years. Not only us, but all the schools in all over India and face these issues. We have taken up some of the measures to actually nullify this to solve these problems. Like for example, we changed the shift timings of the classes so that the junior classes don't have the same time as the senior classes, so that an elder brother and a maybe a smaller sister don't have a clash of the same time, so the devices can be same devices can be shared. We have given the option to the they can come and they can take the devices in a very installment ways, so that from the school we are helping you to take the devices. Even in some cases, I've seen schools like when I was working in a previous school in the last 2 years back, you've given the option of students to even come here and get the notes from the teachers from the physical physical boundary with all the precautions kept. uh, the copies, the notebooks were taken from the students to, and they were submitted at school and checked in a regular basis. Like every 15 days, the notebook used to come to the school and check that and sent back home. So the students get the correction of what they're doing, the work they're doing. And as the teachers coming and taking the note, as the parents coming and taking the notebook and submitting the notebook, a summary of the lesson taught is also going with that, so that the student can actually get that work and then study from there. I have seen my students teaching over WhatsApp, teaching over calls, because that student was not getting devices for online connection, maybe network issues or whatever. So as I said, like I started with this, like the hats off to the teachers. Like the teachers have done some amazing jobs. People don't realize because they were not considered as frontline workers. So they have done some amazing jobs in these 2 years. They have transformed themselves in such a short time, and the full credit goes to them. And I'm sure that all the other principals, my fellow colleagues, and all the other educators will also agree with me. And but again, so it's just a start, as you said, Rajneesh. Blended learning is here to stay, not because that like COVID will come back. I don't want that to come back again anytime. But blended learning is a fantastic medium where few things happen, that we learned how to take innovative assessments. That's one. Second, the teacher became friends of the students, as if like they came down from their pedestal, and then they came down to a place where they are also learning, and they understood the pain that the students go through when they put 7 8 subjects together and tell them to perform. So that's they go through. And in addition to that, the blended learning made them innovative, made them the paradigm shift that is coming up in education, where the education is turning from a nasal stage to a grown pupa. I'm not even talking about a butterfly, that will take a little time, but at least to the pupa stage where the education system can go and start germinating using all the new NCF which is coming up. So thank God that this NCF and NEP has come to the right moment, as he said. So all your experiential learning, all the learning where the social emotional skills of the student need to be decided. You know what, Rajneesh ji, like when you go through the when everyone is in pain, that okay, COVID has given pain to each and everyone. There is a family member everyone has lost, okay, almost everyone in this COVID times. Then you realize the meaning of empathy, then you understand compassion, and that is what is important in our education system. The children must
Exactly.
understand that. The children must develop that courage to understand, yes, I need to fight with that, I need to fight with this kind of thing. So you talk about patriotism, you talk about courage, you talk about empathy, you talk about compassion. COVID has given us the opportunity to understand that, and I hope that all the teachers all around the country, and even in the whole world is keeping that mindset and teaching the student the right thing, so that if any kind of adversity come, they will be ready. They will be ready for life. They will be ready for any kind of future, because we don't know. It's like a 20th century teacher teaching a 21st century kid who will actually witness 20. So
That's
that's the challenge that our teachers have.
that you have given me a quotable quote. In fact, you have given the answer to the last question, which I was intending to ask. So I just finished with one small area, other than that, which was left. A lot of these edutech apps, especially, had come up, and now you mentioned about NEP and in a blended learning kind of model, which looks likely to be the future. What will be the role of these edutech apps, and how are schools generally looking to adopt these? Or will this be just an supplemental mode available to the students? How do you see the future there?
Rajneesh, thank you very much for asking this question. I was hoping that you asked this question to me because I have my background is IT, completely IT. I was making apps and softwares for IBM. So this technology integration started way back, like from 2008 9, when I was working in Dubai. I was doing technology integration. So these days, the blended learning term was coming up at that time. During that time, COVID has not given this terminology, by the way. So this was there from a long time, and I was hoping that this will come soon in India and Indian schools, like most of the Indian schools start embracing it. Now, what is happening at the present moment? The so-called edtech companies are fooling the principals. I can take a full guarantee and full, like I can take, I would say, ownership of what I'm saying here. And please, my fellow principals, my educators, I tell this in all the forums, seminars where I go and speak. Please don't let these companies fool you. There are some fantastic apps. I agree with you, Rajnishji. They can become a supplement of the learning, no doubt in it. But do not let these millions and millions of edtech companies to come and fool you. Please ask an expert. Please have an opinion of the person who knows technology. Please go to that person, talk to them, and I would not name a single company here because that will be unfair. But some reputed companies, extremely reputed companies, are just going and fooling you. Why I'm saying fooling you? Because this is not going to help a student to learn or reach the learning outcome that you're looking at. That's not going to help. You cannot teach a student only through online. It is not possible. They need the human touch. That's why the blended learning is coming up, the hybrid learning is coming up. They need human touch, human presence. It is very important. Social, emotional, and cultural learning is the base of all kinds of learning. We, the educators, CBSE is shouting for competency based learning. The CBSE is telling that for like anything, they have included 25% of the question paper in grade 10 as competency based learning. But that comes second. First, social, emotional learning. You build the character first. You build the character, build the mindset, take the student to understand self-awareness. Once it is done, then all your technology, and being a technical person, I'm telling you this, then all the technology and everything will come later. First, let the student take the ownership of the learning. Let the student become self-aware. Once the student is self-aware, all other things will fall into places like anything. So it's a with in the APSC platform, you've given me the opportunity to tell all my fellow educators Parents, please don't get fooled by the edtech companies. This whole edtech term, I don't know from where it came. There are so many industries like fashion, media. We don't call it media tech. We don't call it fashion tech. I don't know how this edtech terminology came from where. So please understand there is education and there is technology. Technology is everywhere. Wherever you go, technology is there. You should use it properly. Otherwise, it will become that sword which is going to cut your hand. You have to
True.
use it properly.
Great. Thanks, Abhishek.
Thank
That
you.
was
Thank you, Rajneesh.
very useful, and I'm sure people who viewed it and further it will be uploaded on YouTube and our portal, and more people will view it. Will have some interesting insights. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you very much, Rajneesh ji. Again, I welcome the whole team into my campus. It's a beautiful school, one of the
Sure.
best schools in
Thanks
Pune.
for that.
And
We'll definitely
all the
try.
audience, please come and visit my school.
Sure.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.